Hello! Today we are trying something new. My audio has been messing up recently, so I'm going to do a voiceover recording. I jumped in, had a couple of difficult runs beforehand, a lot of losses, but that sort of happens, especially when you're sort of going for late game achievements such as the ones that we have remaining. So today we're going to just do a run and see how we go, see what we unlock, and test how voiceover, instead of a in-game commentary, works. Because this is I guess an out-of-game commentary. I've never done one of these before, so put some comments down below for some tips, or if you even like it at all, we can always return back to the normal form. It's just a little bit more of a controlled environment for recording audio. Okay, cool. So we started off with just a normal nail gun rebar combo on multi, and we have the speed cola and a gasoline. Gasoline's actually really good on multi because he naturally, although nail gun yes does seem like a bit of AoE, he doesn't really have much AoE with the two weapons that I have selected. So it is extremely useful for him to have a gasoline, because then he can start getting rid of lesser wisps in larger quantities, which is what he struggles with the most. Most of the early game bosses do get destroyed by Bolty's lower level nail gun, because its attack rate is insane. And now that they changed how the nail gun doesn't shoot in a random pattern. It used to shoot in a random pattern, and now it doesn't. So if you're interested, it starts with an 8 nail burst and then spins in a corkscrew pattern. So if you did want to, sort of micro your aim, that's how it works. But in general, the base attack speed of it and the general damage will destroy all of the early game bosses. Getting a loop right here was insane, because I am at low health, and the instant I get hit by anything, I will instantly explode and wipe out all of the enemies that were quite easily going to destroy me. So now I just have to do a cleanup until the teleporter timer ends, and we should be all good. We're just waiting here. We really want that equipment barrel, so we spotted it early. We just want it because we know it's out of the way, and since it's quite out of the way, we don't want it to affect the rest of our path. Since it was a Milky Chrysalis, we don't really want to hold on to that, so we will get rid of it as soon as we can. If we find something better, which we do, we get a leech, which is absolutely awesome. So it's a great early game item because there's not much lifesteal in the early game. Leech Seed isn't very good, and Harvest Scythe has prerequisites of a fair amount of crit. So having a supermassive leech is potentially the best early game equipment that we can have for multi. And then we got 2 teddy bears, which was delicious. Always want some dodge chance. Multi does have a lot of base health, so having 2 teddy bears allows you to sort of just stand there and continue to tank things, and some of it you'll dodge, and a lot of it you can just tank while you're just nail gunning down a boss, and then you can start to evade all of the other smaller mobs. The advantage of doing an out-of-game commentary as well is it means I actually get to talk about these tips a little bit more. Talk on the Survivor, how you sort of want to play them. It doesn't have live, reactions of how stressed I might have been or worried I am in a situation that I'm gonna die. because it is an after-game commentary, so I know how I die. And that's alright. But in the moment I get to talk about certain things, such as why I might pick something in a multi-shop, or there's a lot of small niche situations. That's what most roguelites are like. You have niche situations that you just need to memorize almost all of the combinations, such as when you want items, when you want to dodge damage, because multi is pretty important on that. Your shift is on a reasonably long cooldown, and you can't always be using it. So sometimes it's more important to dodge the damage with it than it is to just use it for movement speed. Some damage you're going to take is inevitable. You can get in some really frisky situations in late game. What I'm doing there is I'm angling the camera up so that the camera level is below the water level, and I can look and see if there are any chests underneath the waterline. A lot easier than looking through the water. Since we didn't get too many items on the last map, we walked away with a little bit of gold. I'm spending a bit of extra time, which is why we're over the timer mark to continue on to the next level. We're spending a bit of time to go and pick up items. We are still only at 6 minutes because we did do the first map quite quickly, but we were short on items and we were only just lucky enough to get the boss. So we now have 2 cautious slugs and medkit. Bustling fungus is also useful, but it is extremely situational. The more monsters that start to chase you, the less useful it becomes. Unless you're engineer. So now we have a bit of damage with the armor piercing rounds and the gasoline. And we have a fair amount of regeneration with the medkit. The bustling fungus a little bit, and then 2 cautious slug is really good. Okay, so what happened there is I spotted the purple chest across the way. I didn't see any monsters at that side, so I started to kill the ones out on the other side. Probably was a little bit of an oversight, because I should have just gone to the boss and used the gold from the boss to open up the 2 crates that are nearby, and probably gotten the health drone. Both of them after the fight. Because I do have a solid amount of damage and a fair amount of regeneration, so I should be able to deal with any boss that came out of there. A Wandering Vagrant is good for us. Multi's shift is quite a good counter to the Wandering Vagrant's explosion, both in the ways that it can just reduce a fair amount of damage from it, and that it can be used to hide behind a rocket. The reason I'm not hitting the boss right now is it's not inside a damage threshold that is dangerous, and the grouping of mobs around us is more dangerous than the boss. And once we got rid of the bell, we decided to put the boss into damage threshold. It exploded earlier than we wanted to, so we had to retreat for a little bit, and then we can come out and finish it off. You do always have to have a look out for those brass contraptions, because they deal a lot of damage. And a key thing to remember is that when they're shooting their projectiles, they shoot from left to right, through a focus point. So you can evade them by continually walking right, or will at least increase your chances of evading a hit. It's not something that I always do, but it is something to keep in mind. The other thing with an after commentary is it means I get to talk a lot. Because in-game, I'm focusing. I'm looking at chests, I'm looking at what monsters spawn around me, how much gold they might be worth. Is it worth my time to sort of hang around an area if I see a lot of things spawn or something expensive spawn? I'm looking for printers, I'm looking for crates, all sorts of just map information. I'm also keeping an eye out for the teleporter because you need to find that quickly. And then, once you find the teleporter, you can judge the rest of the map and see where you want to position yourself and how quickly you want to do it. If I'm doing one of these, I will definitely bring a glass of water next time. In the early game, try your hardest to not let those Templars spin up their gun, because it will shred you. You do not have enough health to stand in front of it for very long, and they have a really good aim. The further away you are, they do have spread, but if you're in close proximity, you need to make sure that you are cancelling that spin up each time you can with some CC, or finding a way to get on their other side, which I think cancels their spin up of their minigun. So it's good to see we're getting some damage now. Bandolier is not optimal. The squid is not optimal, squid polyp, but a tri-tip dagger is really good. A ATG missile is awesome, and a sticky bomb is great. Sticky bomb has been nerfed, across the years. It used to be an even better item, but for fast hitting champions like Multi, it is still really good. You can get quite a couple, around, and they can be used to proc different things, like your ATG missiles, and they can be proc to pop your bleed and all sorts of things, but it's really good to just have a couple. So you can see there that he did spin up his gun, he then got stunned, and I'm not letting him spin it up again. I wasn't too worried about taking a lot of damage since I was quite a way away with the spread, but I knew I wouldn't be able to shift towards him because he would deal a lot of damage, so I needed to throw a ranged stun, which is Multi's grenade. And then it was a quick and easy disarm of the situation, and I came out of it with a large amount of health. So I'm not sure if I saw the teleporter earlier, but I've now checked each of the 3 wings on this map, so if the teleporter is at neither of the 2, you're certain that it is at the final one, unless you've misread the map or missed a teleporter, which is alright. It can be hidden down the back of the larger island, and it can be very difficult to find sometimes if it does that. But over on this island, you can see it most of the time. Even if it is behind the pillar, you will normally see the particles. And that is when you're looking for the teleporter, that's what you're looking for. You're looking for the particles. The teleporter particles, you can see them from a while away. They're bright orange. And they float above the ground. So if the teleporter is behind something, or there's a ledge, or maybe even if it's underneath a staircase, you'll normally see the particles in the air above the teleporter, way before you'll see the actual teleporter. What I've been doing in the early game with Multi is I've been using his shift to run into the grand bosses, such as the Imp Overlord, because Multi's shift deals a solid amount of damage to all of those bosses. It does a lot to minions as well. And what I'm doing currently is I'm trying to test how good of a sentry I can be. Because with the nail gun and bustling fungus, you can do a lot of regeneration. And it's an alright tactic. It's something you can only do earlier on, because you can't normally stand still later in the game. But it can work. It's been quite a good run though. A nice spread of regeneration, defensive and offensive items. And that's what you want for an early game. If you are using the command artifact, you need to make sure that the damage is not the only thing you want. Although a lot of runs can be made easier with damage, you can almost feel invulnerable if you have the right defense. So we made a choice here. We realized that we put the Supermassive Leech on the wrong hotkey. We really wanted it on our nail gun. So once we found a new equipment, we were able to swap our Supermassive Leech over to our nail gun. And the Volcanic Egg is a good mobility tool. Multi-shift is already really good, but this one allows some air mobility, which is also what Multi lacks. He doesn't have a double jump, he doesn't have anything that launches him into the air like the Huntress or like Rex or Loader. Even Commando's jetpack can help him get into the air and do some other, air maneuvering. Multi has none of that. He is very ground based. So getting something that can move you from an extremely loaded situation on the ground into the air and away is really good to have. In the later game you'll have Hopper Feathers for your air control, but we have not got any of those yet. And we're currently just looking for all of the eggs. I must have thought that I had a good amount of damage, and we are wanting to spawn the Solace unit and get a red item. The LA Worship unit, not the Solace unit. So we're gauging our damage, and we're gonna move in. The main focus here is just getting a large amount of damage onto the LO Worship unit. Once it's alive for a long time, it will actually spawn a lot of minions. And although they didn't do much damage, they slow you. And until you have a high amount of mobility, that can be dangerous. You'll see later as to the effects of what being slowed can be like. And unfortunately, we misjudged our damage, and we don't really have enough to burst down this boss, which is ideally what you want for any boss. You don't want to deal with them because their attacks and abilities are really strong. I don't know if the armor-piercing rounds affect the Alloy Worship unit, since it is not the teleporter boss, but the Soldier Syringe is useful to have. Similar to Gorn's Tome. Gorn's Tome is not really what you want for a boss, but it is good for early game, because each one of the gold orbs that you pick up is the value of a chest. So although you might have a small chance to get one, you can get gold from it quite quickly. Even if you only pick up 1 or 2 around, that's 1 or 2 chests that you didn't have to farm for. Or if you had a lot of gold, it's 1 or 2 chests worth more to your XP bar, which is extremely important in the early game. Your level affects how much damage you can take, because that is one of the only ways to get larger amounts of health in the game. Especially when you're not using the command. You'll also see me jump a lot against the Alloy Worship unit. It targets the ground with a lot of its abilities. So if you can get it to aim at you while you're in the air, it will shoot those projectiles behind you instead. Because they deal a little bit of area of effect damage over time when the bullets hit the ground. So you do not want them to be underneath your feet. What we're also doing here is we're removing any blazing. Blazing is always one of your largest enemies. Blazing beetles and basically only blazing beetles are non-lethal. Blazing Lemurians, blazing elder Lemurians, blazing jellyfish, they can all take you out quite swiftly. If you're not careful, just one blazing jellyfish combined with a jellyfish of any other type will normally kill you if you're not careful. As you can see there, we got hit by a blazing jellyfish. And lucky for us though, we had the supermassive leech, so we're not worried about taking a bit of damage. We regenerated most of that back. And now that the boss is low health, we want to just try and finish it off. We've whittled it down, now we're going to sort of jump into a battle arena, tank the boss, and do what we can to just end it. And there we go, we've secured ourselves a red. We're heading straight over because red items are important. We don't really want to die on the way. And happiness mask. Oh well. It could be worse. Not much worse, but it's okay. So what we have now that we have the teleporter down is we have our banner of command, and we have a normal boss instead of the warrior worship unit. So these bosses are considerably weaker because of our armor piercing rounds and our banner being down. As you can see, we're doing large amounts of damage with our nail gun to this boss. Mostly with our on-hit effects, so our bleed, our ATG, and you can see there that we were actually quite lucky. We blocked the damage from the Wandering Vagrant, and if we didn't block the damage from the Wandering Vagrant, we would have died in that situation. And it's another situation where our loop came into use, combined with we were able to fly into the air, explode while completely invisible, and remove all of the overwhelming enemies that were surrounding us. We were a little bit too focused on the Wandering Vagrants, and it did cause us trouble. Okay, so we're alive, we've regenerated our health, we're finishing up the teleporter, and we're hoping to grab a blood shrine. Which we almost died with because of the jellyfish as well, but it's alright. We made it. So we're in the Sky Meadow. The Sky Meadow is the location that you want to either head to 3 locations. You can head off planet, so you can go to the moon, and that is where you'll verse Mithrix. He was shown in one of our earlier videos, to unlock the Captain and the Purity, which is a lunar item. We'll talk more about that in the future as we collect one. You can also head to a planet instead, which just takes you to the next stage. You continue on the run as normal, or you can head into I cannot remember the name of the location, but it is where you unlock the artifacts. We'll talk a little bit how to unlock artifacts. So on each map there is a tablet, and on that tablet is a 3x3 shape combination, and that is actually a code which will lead you to one of the artifact locations. And these artifact locations allow you to do a challenge, and in return you will unlock that location's artifact. In today, we've been having some difficulty with completing some runs, and we did want to do all of the artifacts vanilla, but to speed up the process, I've decided to make it easier on myself and use artifacts. So what we're going to do today is we're going to unlock potentially the most overpowered artifact, Command Artifact. And a Command Artifact, instead of dropping items, it'll drop a Command Essence. And a Command Essence, when interacted with, allows you to choose what item will come out of the Essence. So if you would normally drop a white item, it will drop a white Command Essence, and you can choose from any of the white items. So you could see to the left of that panel there shortly, there was for a brief moment, there was a tablet, and that tablet is sort of your little tutorial hint to go and search for ones like that on different maps. That tablet is the location for the Honor artifact, and we will talk more on Honor when we get round to that one. A lot of these item or location information conversations will be more specifically related to the video. So at the start, you'll grab the artifact key, and once the artifact reliquary has been initiated, the command artifact will be in play until the end of this room is complete. So we will actually get to choose all of our items on the inside of this event, but we will not get to have them for the rest of the run. When we do complete this run, and the command artifact has been completely unlocked, we can actually choose it to be at the start of every run, and it will persist for the entire run until you die. There are multiple artifacts, and they affect the game quite heavily, and there are a lot of fun things to do with each of the artifacts. Some of them make the game easier, like Command, and some of them make the game harder. To some people, Command makes things more difficult because you can't walk over an item to pick them up anymore. You must interact with it, open the panel, and select your item, and then it will change to that item on the ground. Then you can walk over and pick it up. Once you are used to the artifact, you can do this quite quickly, and it isn't really a negative effect anymore. So what we are looking for while we're inside the artifact library is, at the start of the event, there was a yellow key. What we are looking for is another one of these yellow keys to progress the event. Since we're in Command, we are looking for a yellow Command Essence. So now we've got a bit of money, and it just seems to quieten down on mobs. So we're going to come over, and that's unfortunate. We're going to come over and grab some items, so you can see how it drops a non-item That is what an essence looks like. And when you interact with it, you'll get a panel. And that is the yellow command essence that we have been searching for. So we can turn that into a key. We can go to the artifact reliquary and insert the key. I like to set up in this top platform at lower levels because if you look around the outside of the map, you'll actually see what look like purple comets coming from the middle of the map. The artifact reliquary actually randomly shoots bullets around it. And the more you have inserted the keys, the lower health the artifact reliquary is at, the faster it will shoot those. And they do have a slight amount of homing on them. So you need to be very careful because they kill you. As you saw, we just got hit by 3 of them. And there was about 5 more chasing us until we jumped. So although they don't deal a lot of damage, they definitely add up. So now we've completed the event, we still have command until we leave the room. So we're going to use it to choose whatever equipment we want that we have unlocked. There are 2 that we have not unlocked. We decided to switch our volcanic egg to a crayon accumulator, and now we are trying to interact with the white command essence. So what I did there is I picked up the egg very quickly and pressed E again to interact with the white command essence. Okay, that about wraps up the end of this video. We have collected the command essence. We collected the trial of command. We have shown you how to interact with the command essence. And now we can use command in any of our future runs to make them considerably easier to complete more of our challenges. We'll catch you guys in the future video. And hopefully this one has helped you a lot. It is the most important essence in my opinion if you want to get to some very easy late game videos. Catch you guys next time. This is Create Gaming.